Hello everyone. So today we are going to be talking about choosing reference pictures or photos for making your pastel art, and I am going to start off with how to choose your pictures, and I will show you how to abstract after that. Okay? So when you are choosing your pictures, you want your pictures to be pretty simple, not a whole lot of details. You can have details, but you should have very easily definable foreground, midground, and background. So the simpler your picture is, the easier your abstracting would become. So for example, if we use this picture as an example, you can see very easily where's your foreground, midground, and background. Okay, this has 4 elements. Okay, so you can easily say that your foreground's here, okay, your midground's here, okay, and this is your background. So you can ignore this thing, but it will make the picture really simple. So instead of ignoring it, after you've put in your foreground, your midground, and your background, you can draw this in after that. And because it's a silhouette, it's going to be all black. So you can focus all your attention onto your foreground, midground, and background, which in this case is going to be a pretty easy thing to do. They're all straight lines, okay, more or less. But if you want to argue that there are no straight lines in nature, that's fine. But I'm saying that just for all intensive purposes, you can abstract it to be 3 rectangular shapes, with the background being the largest, the midground being the smallest, and the foreground being the one that is neither too big or too small in this case. Okay, and after you're done with these 3 areas, then you can add this guy in, okay, with either an 8B pencil, or you want to use a black pastel pencil, or just a black pastel chalk, black pastel stick to go in. That's fine. Okay. All right. So moving on to the next one. We have this one. Okay, so how do you abstract this? I'm going to change colors because blue is probably not going to stand out in this. How do you abstract this? Very simple. The shapes that will be your stencils will be the ground here. Okay, it's not a straight line this time. Okay, this 2 bar here, this here is nothing. It's just the background for Photoshop that I'm using to show you all this. Okay, again, this guy here is the subject, so we leave him out for the moment and we try to abstract the rest. So this is your foreground. So notice that the foreground here is the lightest. Okay, not the lightest, but it's quite a bit brighter than your midground. All right, and then when you're abstracting for your stencils, this is your midground. So you will have to cut shapes like this out, which I've already shown you in the previous video. Okay, so this is your abstraction. Alright, and then the furthest mountains. And then the rest is just the sky. So in other words, this picture is a little bit more complicated, but in terms of abstraction is a little easier. The color is a little bit more complicated because you have another foreground You have another foreground, midground, and background here. Okay, in this midground. Okay, and the sky would just be the background. And again, you put this guy in last as all black. And you can either choose to leave this in by drawing it in, or you can just totally leave it out. That's abstraction. You don't have to follow a reference photo exactly. Okay, and this photo was chosen because you see how simple it is to separate the foreground, midground, and the background. Okay, so I'm going to show you another photo, another picture that is even easier. This one. Okay, now the main attraction to this picture, it's all the colors in the shapes. So in this case, it's pretty easy and simple to make this picture happen. Okay, you see my abstraction here is this is the foreground. Okay, and so is this part here. This whole part here is the midground, and the sky. Is the background. So the way you do this is you simply cut a stencil that is around this shape, doesn't have to be exact, and then tear a few more pieces of paper to show the jaggy mountains here in this area. Okay, and you abstract that by just, you know, sketching a shape out that looks similar, not exactly the same, it doesn't have to be. And you do again foreground, midground, background here. Okay, and in doing this, you will have a really interesting picture that is easy to make, but it's still pretty. Okay, I mean, this picture is all about the colors, and if you can find pictures like this on the web, there's a lot of them. You can use it to make you can use it to make pictures with the pastel techniques that I've shown you with masking, stenciling. Okay, so I'm going to show you one last picture, which is a little bit more complicated but simple at the same time. Okay, which is this picture. Now, if you look at this picture, it's pretty easy to single out where is the foreground, midground, and the background. Okay, there literally are 3 shades. Okay, this is the foreground. This is the midground. Oops. Midground. And this is the background. And this can be your subject. Subject of focus. So you can just put big blob, a black blob shape in there, and you'll you'll look interesting. Okay, and this guy here you can just ignore, and your picture will still look interesting. If you want to put him in, it's okay too. But if you don't want, you can totally leave him out, and your picture will still be good looking. Okay. Now, why do I say it's a little bit more complicated in a sense? Notice the textures here, how all these things and the 2 different colors. Okay, those are the complicated parts. Okay, you have textures here, texture here. Okay, in both the foreground and the midground. So in terms of foreground, midground, background, this picture is pretty easy to single out. The difficult part is the textures. Okay, all these textures. You have to decide if you want to leave them in or you want to simplify and abstract it. Okay, and then if you abstract it, you might have to duplicate the colors. Now, another note about abstracting this picture, you don't have to follow the steps exactly here. Okay, the step hills, the terraced hills, not the step hills, the terraced hills, you don't have to have the exact same number of steps as they do here, just so long as you have this subject here in the area where it is, and the steps, the stepped terraced hills showing up as terraced hills and not a simple 2 or 3 step hill, but multiple steps. You don't have that. You don't have to have that many. You just have to have enough to make it look like there are a lot of steps. So for example, now for this foreground, you have 4 steps here, or 3 if you don't count this. 3 if you don't count this. Okay, 4 if you do. Okay, so 4 steps. So your midground has to have more than 4 steps. That's it. Maybe 2 steps more. And that should be good enough. Okay. And then your background is the easiest thing here. And then after you're done with all this, you do the subject here, the little house, this part. Okay, so those are the simplest things. So today, what I'm going to show you in a minute is I'm going to show you how to make this picture here. Alright, and then I will show you the other pictures in some later videos, in maybe quick art videos. in future videos on how I do the other parts, but they will be sped up because I've already taught you how to do all these simple things here. Okay, so today I'm going to be making this picture here. You'll see how I do this, and then you will get an idea of how it can be done. Alright, so I will see you again a little bit later. Okay, so in this part of the video, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So let me explain a little bit of stuff first. Some stuff that I need to make corrections from previous videos. Now, in previous videos, I've mentioned that I was going to use postcards, art paper postcards. Unfortunately, I couldn't find my little booklet of art postcard, my art paper postcard. I thought I had like a bunch of Strathmore Artagain postcards. I remember having them, but I can't find them. I spent like a few hours looking for them and I couldn't find them. So instead of using the postcard, I'm going to just use regular art paper again. Okay, but this time in a smaller version, not A4 size. This is like A5. It's half of A4. You can use a larger piece of paper if you like, but this is what I'm going to use. Okay, art paper. And then instead of using another piece of art paper, I use a sheet of 160 GSM paper or card. If you want to say it's 160 grams, okay, you can use cardstock or whatever, or you can also use the art paper. I mean, art paper is really cheap if you're not using the expensive mixed media type like Fabriano or something. So this piece of art paper is only 200 GSM, and I'm going to start by taping the paper down to this piece of board here. Is movable. Okay, because I didn't want to tape it to this part of the board, so I'm going to tape it to this one so I can move it around. Okay, and I'm going to be using this is called drafting tape, as you can see here. Okay, I bought this off Amazon to try it, and it's not really sticky, so it's really nice. If not, you can use masking tape if you want, but they're really sticky. Okay, so I've not tried drafting tape before, so I'm going to try it this time and see what happens. All right. Okay, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this is gonna stay put, unlike the washi tape that I was led to believe that would stick and keep the paper put. But it doesn't, so if this fails, I'm gonna use masking tape over it to keep it put. So in any case, I'm gonna be using this to draw my stencil for the pictures. Okay, I might use an extra sheet of paper for the mountain range. That is going to be just a normal sheet of printer paper that I will use to cut out into the shape, some random shapes of the mountain ranges. So you'll see later on. Right now, I don't have it on yet because I want to get the first part of the drawing first. All right. Right, so from this first shape, you might have noticed that I am not following the shape of the ridge exactly, which is intentional because it's an abstract piece of art and I want to make it a little bit more interesting. Okay. Then I'm going to indicate where the guy is going to be, probably here. I am just going to sketch in a little bit of the mountain ranges to tell me where all the things are going to be, but I'm actually not going to follow most of the stuff that's going to be in there. Okay. Alright, so as I've said before, this is a pretty simple one. Now you may have noticed that I kind of move my picture up a bit to give more emphasis in this area and less emphasis on the sky. Okay, it's intentional because to me the sky isn't going to look as interesting as this area. Okay, so the sky is just going to be, for me in this piece of art, it's going to be just a flat, not flat, but a gradation of colors. That's it. Okay, you will see. Now you can tear if you want, but I'm not going to. The other one, yeah, I'm gonna tear the other one because I need a couple. Yeah, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I have one cut one done this way. Okay. So, and that's all I'm going to need. Okay, because it's going to be, I'm going to be playing with all the shapes. These shapes, so to say. Okay, so I will see you after I finish cutting these things up. Now the good thing about this is that I can still adjust things as I go, especially with the center part here. If I still, while I am doing this, I feel like maybe this part is too much, I can move this piece a little bit further down to give me a little more sky, and it will still not affect this because the shapes are still there. Okay, the shapes are still there, this part and this part. Now this piece is important because of this area here. Okay, so this doesn't really have anything to do unless I want to mask this area, which I don't think it's going to be happening. So it's more on this area here because I'm going to be coloring this part like this. Okay. Alright, so now that I'm finished cutting with all the stencils, I am ready to lay my color down, and this time for coloring pastels, the pastel set I'm going to be using is this set here. Okay, I got this set of pastel like at the beginning of the year. It's like a set of 90 colors. Okay, I'll show you. It's very, very nicely packed, and it's by Mangyo, and the colors are pretty awesome. Okay. So I have not used this set yet. So for this piece, I am going to be using this set. So as I use more of this set, I can give a review in another video, which I will be, because I get to test this set out for light fastness. So I'm going to be working on it, and the light fast test takes about 3 to 4 months to complete because I have to expose it to the sunlight in the tropical equatorial in the tropical sun here. So you will see a light fast review at a later date. Okay, for my other set of Mangyo Gallery pastels, I've already done a light fast test with that, and I will show it to you at a later date. Okay, so not this time, not today, or not in this video at least. Alright, so the next step is putting down the color.